Welcome to Infinity Dental Implants from Ace Surgical. Quality, compatible implants. Unbeatable value. This video will walk you through surgical preparation, placement, and 2 stages of healing protocols for the 4.7mm Infinity Internal HEX dental implant. We will begin with the implant site preparation and placement protocol. Step 1. Determining tissue depth. Prior to drilling, use a tissue probe to determine soft tissue depth. Step 2. Preparing the surgical site. Now that you have determined the accurate tissue depth, be sure to follow your current surgical protocol for making a mesiodistal incision along the buccal side of the alveolar crest through the mucoperiosteum and attached gingiva to the bone using a surgical blade. Step 3. Reflect the flap. Understanding the drilling sequence and color icons. Drill selection varies based on bone density, implant diameter, and implant depth. To meet the demands of various surgical protocols, the Infinity Internal HEX surgical kit includes soft and dense bone drills in both short and long drill lengths. The Infinity Internal HEX drill kit is color-coded by diameter, along with using an open circle or outline circle icon for soft bone cases, or a complete circle or filled circle icon for dense bone cases. Identify the necessary drills and components for placing a 4.7mm diameter implant within the surgical kit. The necessary drills for this procedure follow the dark purple indicator line across the top of the kit. First, choose the 3mm diameter round drill. Second, choose the 2.3mm diameter straight twist drill. Third, choose the 2.3 to 2.8mm paralleling pin. Fourth, choose the 3.4 to 2.8mm diameter step twist drill. Fifth, choose the 2.8mm depth guide. Sixth, choose the 3.8mm straight twist drill. Seventh, the kit includes a 2.5mm hexagon contra-angle implant driver and a 2.5mm hexagon ratchet implant driver. It is important to note when placing a 4.7mm implant in dense bone, you will need to substitute the 3.8mm diameter straight twist drill from the 6th instrument in the sequence and replace with the solid purple circle icon drill labeled 4.4 to 3.8mm step drill. When in dense bone, we have included the optional 4.7mm bone tap used to match the threads of the implant prior to driving the implant. Let's continue with Step 4 of the site preparation and drilling protocol. Marking the implant site. Choose the 3mm diameter round drill with a motor speed between 800 and 1200 RPM and copious irrigation. Mark the initial osteotomy. Step 5. Drilling the pilot hole. Choose the appropriate drill for your procedure. We include both a long and short 2.3mm diameter twist drill. All Infinity surgical drills are laser marked with the appropriate diameters and drill depths. When looking at a twist drill, the first marking represents 6mm in depth, followed by 8mm to 10mm. The next set of markings, as you move from tip to the base towards the handpiece, is 11.5mm to 13mm. The final marking is 16mm in depth. Caution! Twist drills with drill point tip are approximately 1mm longer in length than what is indicated by the markings. Drill the initial pilot hole to the correct laser-marked depth using a motor speed of 800 to 1200 RPM and copious irrigation. Step 6. Check for parallel alignment. Confirm the appropriate drill angle using the 2.3 end of the 2.3 to 2.8mm paralleling pin. Osteotomy corrections can be made during the following step. Step 7. Select the long or short 3.4 to 2.8mm dense bone step drill. Drill to the appropriate depth at a motor speed between 800 and 1200 RPM with copious irrigation. Step 8. Measure to confirm depth. Place the 2.8mm depth gauge into the osteotomy and confirm the depth using the corresponding laser markings on the depth gauge. Step 9. If placing a 4.7mm diameter implant in soft bone, choose the corresponding long or short 3.8mm straight drill. If placing a 4.7mm diameter implant in dense bone, Choose the corresponding long or short 4.4 to 3.8 mm step drill. Drill to the appropriate depth at a motor speed between 800 and 1200 RPM with copious irrigation. Step 10. This step is an optional step chosen for dense bone procedures. Select the 4.7 mm optional dense bone tap from the dark purple column. At a slow speed of 20 RPM, cut the threads into the osteotomy. Tap the osteotomy to the laser marking as shown. Caution: avoid letting the bone tap excessively cut into any more bone by going beyond the threads in the beginning of the laser marking of the bone tap, as this could cause a wider than optimal osteotomy opening. Loading the Infinity Internal HEX dental implant. Step 1. Implant packaging. Open the blister package over a sterile field by locating and pulling off the sealed Tyvek lid. With the blister package open, drop the implant vial onto the sterile field. Step 2. Open the sterile implant vial by breaking the tamper-proof tape and remove the cap using a gentle twisting and pulling motion. Step 3A. Choose the appropriate 2.5 mm implant driver. Step 3B. Loading the implant onto the driver. Rotate and engage the hexagon of the implant driver with the hexagon within the implant. Pick up the implant body from the vial. Use caution when removing the implant from the vial and bringing the implant over to the surgical site. Placing an Infinity Internal HEX implant. Step 1. Implant placement. With the implant attached to the driver tool, insert the implant into the prepared osteotomy using an implant placement speed of 20 RPM and a maximum insertion torque of 45 Newton-centimeters. Step 2. Seating the implant. Drive the implant until fully seated and flush with the crest of the bone ridge. Do not exceed 45 Newton-centimeters. If the implant does not seat at 45 Newton-centimeters, back the implant out of the osteotomy. Place the implant back into the sterile vial and refer to the dense bone protocols for the appropriate size implant. External irrigation should be used to minimize heat during this process. Step 3. After placement, disengage the hand or contra-angle implant driver tool from the implant and fixture mount by pulling off the tool in a straight upward direction. Step 4. Remove the fixture mount. Using the offset wrench to keep the fixture mount from turning, remove the retaining screw from the top of the fixture mount using the 1.25 mm hexagon hand driver. This will remove the fixture mount from the implant. Infinity Internal Hexagon Dental Implant TwoStage Healing Preparation. Step 1. Loading the implant cover screw. Using one of the 1.25 mm hexagon drivers, turn counterclockwise to release the implant cover screw from the implant vial cap. Step 2. Placing the implant cover screw. Carefully place the implant cover screw into the implant and hand tighten into place. Step 3. Closing the tissue with sutures. Suture the tissue over the cover screw using standard surgical protocols. Infinity Internal HEX Dental Implant Single-Stage Healing Preparation. Step 1. Placing the implant healing abutment. Using one of the 1.25 mm hexagon drivers, place the appropriate healing abutment into the implant using the recommended seating torque of 20 Newton-centimeters. Secure tightly into place. Step 2. Closing the tissue with sutures. Suture the tissue around the healing abutment using standard surgical protocols. Infinity Internal HEX Dental Implant System Single-Stage Temporary Preppable Abutment Healing Preparation. Step 1. Removing the fixture mount. Using the offset wrench to keep the fixture mount from turning, remove the retaining screw from the top of the fixture mount using the 1.25 mm hexagon hand driver. This will remove the fixture mount from the implant. Step 2. Attaching the fixture mount to the Infinity Internal HEX analog. Using the 1.25 mm hexagon driver, Attach the fixture mount to its corresponding color-coded implant analog. Step 3. Removing the fixture mount from the temporary abutment. Using a circular saw, remove the top colored section from fixture mount through groove, creating a straight abutment. As required, prepare the temporary abutment to the appropriate occlusal height. Step 4. Reattach the temporary abutment to the implant. Use a 1.25 mm driver to attach the temporary abutment to the implant and torque the abutment to 30 Newton-centimeters. Step 5. Close the tissue with sutures. Suture the tissue around the temporary abutment using standard surgical protocols. Step 6. Placing the temporary crown. After closing the tissue around the temporary abutment, cement the temporary crown to the abutment. Thank you for choosing Infinity Internal HEX Dental Implants from ACE Surgical. Infinity, always delivering the highest quality compatible implants. Built to excite your referrals, priced to excite your practice. For more information on these and other compatible Infinity dental implants, visit the Infinity website at www.infinitydentalimplantssystems.com or call 800-441-3100.